In the smoldering aftermath of 9/11, Washington moved fast, and the Constitution never saw it coming. 6 weeks later, 342 pages. No debate, no delay. The Patriot Act was born.
The President of the United States.
Thank you. Please be seated.
It gave the government sweeping new powers. Warrantless wiretaps, mass surveillance, your phone calls, your emails, your library records. The Fourth Amendment put on life support. Then came a Department of Homeland Security, the biggest government reorganization since World War II. 22 agencies, 240,000 employees. Next stop, war. Afghanistan was retaliation. Iraq, a preemptive gamble. Weapons of mass destruction, never found. But the war machine didn't slow down. It kicked into overdrive. Private contractors got rich. Oil flowed. Blood spilled. And dissent? Patriotism's new enemy. How could this happen? Could the government really allow the deaths of 3,000 of its civilians? Why? Even asking can be difficult.
Show this a violence next man. I love you, Jordan. I love you. I don't know if I'm going to be okay here. I love you so much.
Speak out. You're with the terrorists. Cheney's secret meetings. Rumsfeld's riddles. Lies wrapped in flags. Secrecy sealed in law. The press didn't ask questions. They repeated the answers.
Nuclear weapons. Fanatics, terrorists, September 11th. September 11th, killers, September 11th.
September 11th. The terrorists, war and danger. September 11th. Terrorism, global terrorism, terrorism, terrorists, 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 the terror, terror. September the 11th. Terror, 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 terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th. September the 11th. Terrorists, the evil terrorists.
And just like that, 9/11 became a blank check. Congress gave up war powers. The executive branch took control. Presidents got a kill list. And you didn't need a trial to end up on it. 9/11 didn't just change policy. It rewrote the playbook. For war, for surveillance, for power, all in the name of safety. But what cost? The human loss was immediate. The financial impact? Massive and long-lasting. Markets closed for 4 days. When they reopened, $1.4 trillion disappeared in a week.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
Then came the cost of war. Afghanistan, Iraq, trillions approved by Congress with little resistance. Defense spending surged. Private contractors expanded fast. Profits grew alongside deployments. Military budgets hit all-time highs. Meanwhile, spending on roads, schools, and healthcare lagged behind. To calm the economy, the Fed slashed interest rates. Then it injected trillions through quantitative easing. Debt rose rapidly, and inflation became a long-term concern. Just 7 years later, the system buckled again. The Great Recession hit. Some of the same policies and players were involved. Banks were bailed out. Ordinary Americans faced foreclosures and job losses. Abroad, U.S.-led wars disrupted economies for decades. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Reconstruction was slow, if it came at all. The ripple effect? Mass displacement, regional instability, global tension. Across the region, poppy cultivation exploded. From 82,000 hectares pre-2001 to over 224,000 hectares later, making Afghanistan responsible for nearly 90% of the world's illicit opium. Efforts to eradicate the trade stumbled. War destabilized rural areas and created incentives for farmers and warlords to protect poppy fields, all under watch of U.S. forces. This is interesting because shortly after the war, America was faced with an opioid epidemic. Not just with street drugs, but prescription drugs as well. Today, we're still carrying the bill, and many of the systems set in motion after September 11th still shape the economy we live in now. The Department of Homeland Security expanded surveillance at every level. Public places, borders, online activity. Behind the scenes, the NSA built a vast data collection network. Phone calls, texts, emails, all monitored in the name of security. We weren't supposed to know until 2013, when Edward Snowden leaked the truth. Mass surveillance was real, and it didn't require a warrant.
The NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time, simply because that's the easiest, most efficient, and most valuable way to achieve these ends.
The Patriot Act, passed in 2001, was extended multiple times, even as civil liberties groups raised alarms. Critics said it went too far, that safety was coming at the cost of freedom. For most people alive in 2001, 9/11 became a defining memory, a day that rewrote how we saw the world and each other. At first, the country came together, a rare moment of unity. Patriotism surged. Support for the government skyrocketed. People grieved. They rallied. They believed in each other and in action. Over time, questions started to rise about the wars, about surveillance, about what we were told and what we weren't. People began asking harder questions. What really happened? Why? And who gained the most? Halliburton's financial surge post 9/11 is hard to ignore. Revenue climbed from $13 billion in 2001 to $18.3 billion by 2008, a roughly 40% increase, largely fueled by government contracts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dick Cheney, Halliburton's CEO from 1995 to 2000, left with hundreds of thousands in stock options. Even as vice president, he retained 433,000 shares, tying his personal gains to wartime profits. Then came the privatization wave. Blackwater, founded by ex-SEAL Eric Prince, gained over $1 billion in no-bid government contracts, including $800 million for State Department services in Iraq. By 2007, daily U.S. military contractor spending hit $50 billion, about a third of personnel costs, and Blackwater's team of armed guards ballooned to 20,000 to 30,000 in Iraq, possibly doubling that number. Eric Prince was born into wealth. His father was one of the largest automotive parts manufacturers in Michigan. Prince's sister, Betsy DeVoe, who served as Trump's education secretary from 2017 to 2021. Blackwater guards were convicted for killing 17 Iraqi civilians in the sewer square, but later pardoned by Trump in 2020. Connections ran deep. Bush's father served on Carlyle Group's board, alongside Apollo's Shafiq bin Laden. One day before September 11th, both Bush Sr. and Shafiq appeared at Carlyle's D.C. conference, and 13 bin Ladens left U.S. oil days later on private jets amid flight suspensions. The bin Laden family invested money with the Carlyle Group. Their business connections go back decades. PNAC, the neocon think tank, including Rumsfeld and Cheney, even wrote in 2000 that America needed a catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. A year later, one occurred.
In my opinion, treason. The cabal of neoconservatives at PNAC, I think you all know what that is, who planned this war, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, Libby, Pearl. This cabal knew the American people would not stand for a war against Iraq unless there was, as they put it in their own document, a new Pearl Harbor. 9/11 supplied that.
What we see when we connect all this: Halliburton and Cheney profiting from war, Blackwater thriving as a privatized force, Carlyle Group's ties linking Bush family to bin Laden's, NAC's ideological framing preparing the narrative, U.S. troops guarding opium fields feeding global heroin demand. 9/11 wasn't just a tragedy. It became a feasible pivot, leveraged by those ready to gain when interests, power, and policy aligned. Nearly 25 years later, the world shaped by September 11th looks very different. Over 8,000 U.S. troops have died in Afghanistan and Iraq. Hundreds of thousands of civilians lost their lives. Countless more displaced. Surveillance expanded beyond anything imagined before 2001. Your phone calls, texts, and emails. Collected, analyzed, stored. Public trust has been shaken. People question the official narratives. They demand accountability. Whistleblowers like Edward Snowden showed the cost of exposing the truth. Yet much remains hidden behind closed doors. The wars cost trillions and continues to this day. Wealth concentrated in corporate hands. And the opioid epidemic worsened, fueled partly by policies and industries tied to this era. For survivors and families, the pain endures. But so does the need for truth. When people ask how, why? Follow the money and the power gained. When people believe their cause is just, they will commit atrocities. Investigations and reporting have revealed contradictions, unanswered questions, and powerful interests. The real legacy? Not just what happened that day, but how it was used to reshape a nation, to concentrate power, to launch wars, to reshape society. The full story is still unfolding. It's up to us to keep asking, to keep seeking facts, and to hold those in power accountable. This information can be hard to hear. It's not meant to offend or accuse blindly, but to present facts and patterns. Some evidence is circumstantial, but enough of it builds a strong case. A case that deserves attention. When powerful interests stand to gain so much. When billions flow to some after tragedy. People's lives become tragically expendable. We've seen it time and time again throughout history. Seeking truth isn't about blame. It's about respect for those lost, for those left behind, and for the future we all share. Don't take my word for it. Read, watch, dig, ask questions, even the uncomfortable ones. Truth doesn't fear investigation, but power often does. You don't have to believe every theory, but you should question every narrative, especially the ones that change the world.
I don't know. Everything that's going on around our world.